Hello kiddies, I'm Chris from TechSpert, and this week I'm reviewing the fresh new Red Magic 9 Pro. The first gaming smartphone with Qualcomm's pocket-fumblingly powerful Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset stuffed inside. You've got a ruddy massive 6500 mAh capacity battery with 80-watt fast charging, upgraded shoulder triggers and a fresh new ice coolant system, all kinds of clever bollocks. So is the Red Magic 9 Pro the best gaming smartphone right now? Well, let's whip it on out, set it up and give it a thorough see into. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So first up, what do you get in that shiny silver box? Well, first up, perhaps unshockingly, you've got a spangly new Red Magic 9 Pro. And underneath that you've got, hello, perhaps not the most effective space armor there. You've also got yourself an 80-watt power adapter and a bright red USB cable and even a rigid condom case to keep your Red Magic 9 Pro safe from harm. And that's everything that you'll find inside of the Red Magic 9 Pro box. So let's actually check out the phone. Alright, so here we have it, the Red Magic 9 Pro. And I really like this animated wallpaper, very funky indeed, but it doesn't really give us an idea of like the bezels and everything, so let's just change that up quickly. There's a bright orange one on the go. Yeah, that's a bit better. And the Red Magic 9 Pro is a 6.8-inch Godzilla of a smartphone, but as you can see there, the bezels surrounding that almighty display are about as bulky as a Beatles ball sack. Very little wasted space, so this smartphone isn't too cumbersome to clutch even though it weighs well over 200 grams, and as you can see there is nary a curved edge or corner in sight. This thing is an actual proper full-on brick. You once again have a brushed metal frame stretching around the entire edge, and then flip it around to the back and you'll see you've got a perfectly flat arse coated in glass. And this comes in a choice of two different colours, either black or, wait for it, you'll never guess. Oh, you did guess, it's white. And quite a busy back end here on the Red Magic 9 Pro as well, lots going on. Plenty of little bits of design flair, including just random text, win more games. Well, if I win more than 0, well that will be more than usual. We've also got a wee advertisement for the chipset that's stuffed inside of here, Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And the obligatory bit of logo action, you can see some of the internal screws. You've got this chipboard style pattern, so yeah, quite fitting for a gaming phone it feels. And then up here, blended in surprisingly well with those camera lenses, is the internal fan, which as you can see there, sports a good bit of RGB action again. You can actually see it through the wee vent at the edge of the Red Magic 9 Pro as well. And you'll find some bonus LED action right here in the 09 around back, and also on both of those triggers. And you can customize that light up shenanigans right here in the settings. And of course, because of those gaping vents, that means the Red Magic 9 Pro most certainly is not water resistant, so don't be thinking you can do some Genshin Impact or PUBG in the bath. Now, when you want to unlock your Red Magic 9 Pro, you've got an in-display optical fingerprint sensor, which as you can see there, it's pretty nippy, pretty responsive. With a good bit of muscle memory, you can just basically just tap and go, which is just as well, because I hate searching for the power button. I always end up hitting volume down first instead. It's just so bloody low on that edge. And then once unlocked, the good times continue because you've got a lovely stock-ish version of Android here, complete with the usual Discover feed shenanigans. You've got your apps tray, you can drag down that notifications bar from anywhere, got all your quick settings and everything. And gloriously, there is bugger all crapware on this thing as well. Just a couple of the Nubia Red Magic dedicated apps like Private Space and Phone Switch. That's it. No booking.bloodycom, no Facebook, LinkedIn, any of that shit. But if you jump on into the settings, you've got a few extra Red Magic-y bits in here, including lots of customization options. You can basically tweak and fiddle about with all kinds of stuff, including the LED shenanigans, the fingerprint sensor animation, bit of always on display as well. Can get one on the go with Mora, the Red Magic mascot, who's looking suitably startled, or just exhibiting random facial tics. So overall, gotta say, digging Red Magic OS, which is of course sat naturally on top of Android 14. The only thing is, I am reviewing the Red Magic 9 Pro ahead of the official global launch, so I'm not sure exactly how many years of OS and security updates it's going to get. Kind of hoping at least a couple of Android updates and at least 3 or 4 years of security updates, but again, I'll update that down in the comments below when I actually bloody know it. And of course, when you want to go in game mode, well, that's this nifty little red switch right here. Just flick that up. And I always hold it upside down. Okay, take freaking 2. Yeah! Now inside of the Red Magic 9 Pro's game mode, you've got fast access to any games that you've got installed on here. You can also dive on into the settings for that particular game. And this is where you can tweak all kinds of different features, tools, etc. So for instance, you can change up the touch sensitivity of the screen, all kinds of different performance settings. So I will stick it on good old rise for Genshin Impact, of course, but you do have an eco mode if it's something that's a bit more chill. Just playing a bit of Wordle or whatever. You can also tweak the GPU settings. So again, I've got on high quality for Genshin, but you can do power saving for more basic stuff. You can also have the coolant fan automatically turn on when you load up the game. You can change the video recording stats, just all kinds of stuff. And inside of this gaming mode, you'll also get help with any cloud gaming you might want to partake in, and also hooking up accessories. And as usual, in here you can also play around with the Mora Red Magic Assistant. Hi, Mora. This is just as random as usual.
No touching, no touching.
She really should get her own HR department if she's having to say stuff like that.
Are you up, Commander?
Well, I certainly am now. And also, how do I get my wife to call me Commander? Anywho, once you've finished buggering about with all of that, you might just about have enough time to, play a game. Now, when you're actually balls deep in a game of Genshin Impact, PUBG or whatever, if you want to play around with those settings and features, you can just drag out this magic toolbar. From here, you can quickly access most of the big bits, including those various performance modes. You can block any incoming notifications so you're not disturbed. You can change up the screen refresh, toggle the fan on and off for the rotation lock. You can record the action. Lots of different stuff, as you can see there. And in here is also where you configure those virtual triggers. Just tap this wee icon here. As you can see, I've already set the left trigger to be my alternate attack, my right trigger to be my standard attack. But you've got even deeper customization than that, because you can configure long presses, rapid fire, all kinds of stuff. And the good news is those 520Hz dual shoulder triggers now come with a delicious bit of double X-axis linear motor action for proper haptic feedback. So you do get a proper bit of rumble action. It's fairly strong as well every time you tap those buttons, just to make sure you've definitely connected. And they're nice and responsive as well, zero latency. Now, the Red Magic 9 Pro might not be the first Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 smartphone to actually launch globally, but it is the first one that I've personally fondled. And so far, I've got to say, woof! It's backed here by 16 gigs of RAM in my review model, and as you can see, those Geekbench scores certainly a big leap over the previous generation. So you probably won't blow your trousers off in shock and surprise to hear that the Red Magic 9 Pro can cope with the likes of Genshin Impact and other really demanding Android titles. Absolutely no worries. We're talking a smooth and stable 60 frames per second, even on the highest detail settings, even when you're playing for over an hour. And that's undoubtedly helped along by the upgraded ICE 13 cooling system. Got a dedicated vapor chamber, you got a larger heat dissipation surface for this model, as well as a surprisingly quiet internal fan. So the fan is on the maximum setting right now, fast cooling, and I can barely hear it. And I know I'm old, I've got buggered hearing, but seriously, here's the vents, I'll stick them right next to the mic so you can hear. It's about as loud as a ladybird's fart. And this means you'll be able to happily game in bed next to a dozing partner without incurring the wrath of an uppercut to the crotch or a slap to the tit. And Nubia has also chucked in a separate Red Core R2 chip as well, which handles some of the gaming shenanigans, takes some of the pressure off the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, not that it really needs it. And then there's that 6.8-inch full AMOLED display, which is an absolute stunner. It's perfectly flat, you've got a crisp 2480 by 1116 resolution. You got bold, poppy colours on the default settings, and full HDR10 plus streaming support thanks to the slick contrast. And once again, it is a full view display as well. No notches, no selfie cam orifices, because that front-facing camera is currently squirreled away underneath the display. And seriously, this technology is getting crazy good now, to the point where you just really can't even notice it. And as you would expect, that display perfectly responsive as well to all of your touches, swipes, pokes, prods, etc. So ideal for fast and frantic online fare like Call of Duty. And as I showed you earlier, you can tweak that sensitivity if it's not quite to your liking. When you boost the screen brightness up to the highest possible levels, the Red Magic 9 Pro can hit around 1600 nits. Certainly a solid effort, if not quite as impressive as some other expensive new and upcoming Androids. But it's more than good enough for gaming outdoors, certainly here in the UK, and I would imagine other countries where you actually occasionally get a snifter of sunlight. And the Red Magic 9 Pro's display maxes out at 120Hz refresh. You can actually configure the refresh rate inside of that game settings, have it set to the default, otherwise you can stick it at 1690 or 120. The Red Magic 9 Pro also boasts upgraded dual stereo speakers. These aren't quite front-firing speakers, unfortunately. They are mounted on the edges of the Red Magic 9 Pro. The audio blasted out of this thing will still absolutely melt your face. And at top volume, it'll fill a room basically. And yet the clarity stays strong, nice crisp, clear audio. You have full DDS audio tuning, which you can tweak in the settings. And yes, you do have Bluetooth 5.3 streaming support and an actual headphone jack. Unfortunately, the positioning isn't fantastic. So if you are gaming, especially if you're using those triggers, it does somewhat get in the way. I'd much rather it was positioned down here on this edge of the phone so it dangles out of your way when you're trying to get your Genshin on or whatever. And yes, the Red Magic 9 Pro boasts an even bigger 6,500 mAh capacity battery. It's like one of the biggest batteries in any smartphone I've ever tested, and I found that in the likes of Genshin Impact, even on the highest performance mode, with the boosted touch response rate, the GPU maxed out, the fan on the highest setting, the battery still only drained around 18% per hour. So that means you get well over 5.5 hours of Genshin action, even on those top settings, no worries. And if you do need to charge up, but you really can't put down your game, well, no worries, you do have a charge bypass feature, so you can plug in, toggle that, and the battery won't charge it, it'll just keep the phone powered up so it doesn't overheat. And the Red Magic 9 Pro supports 80 watt fast charge, and you do actually get that charger bundled in the box, so bit of a bump over the 65 watt fast charging found in the Red Magic 8S Pro. So let's finish up this lovely little Red Magic 9 Pro unboxing and review with a squint at that camera tech. As you can see, there is a triple lens setup. Just ignore the fan, that's not part of it. And the big boy here is a 50 megapixel Samsung GN5 sensor with optical image stabilization. Now, the Red Magic 9 Pro camera app is absolutely fine. It is pretty dense with features. Got the usual AI shenanigans and lots of different modes to piddle about with, including a full-on dedicated Pro mode where you can mess around with the likes of the white balance, shutter speed, EV, etc, etc. And this does allow you to capture RAW format images as well. You've also got the obligatory night mode and portrait mode. And if you thought that was it, well, nope, there's plenty of other things to mess around with too. And here's just a small selection of sample shots that I snapped around the old homestead over the last couple of days with the Red Magic 9 Pro. It's nothing to really shout about, but it certainly does the job for your simple basic family shots. That night mode does a respectable job of brightening up your snap when the lighting is crap. And if you want a different view of the action, you've also got a 50 megapixel Samsung GN1 sensor with an ultra wide angle lens. And for some reason, Nubia has also chucked on a basic crappy 2 megapixel macro shooter. I'm not really sure why. And then around front, you've got a 16 megapixel selfie shooter with the obligatory beauty bollocks. Not that I need that, of course. And yes, while you can expect your selfies to look a wee bit softer compared with some rivals because it's an under-display camera, the results are still pretty bloody impressive, especially compared with the pics you got spaffed out by some of those earlier under-display cameras, which were frankly just a murky blob. Although yeah, some might say that a murky blob, in my case, would be an improvement. And as for shooting video with that front-facing camera, if you want to do a bit of streaming, if you're not quite good at gaming or something, well, you can capture up to full HD resolution video using that bad boy. And yeah, things do look a bit soft and grainy and crappy compared with some cameras that aren't buried away underneath the display, as you'd kind of imagine, but it's not terrible. So there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is the fresh new Red Magic 9 Pro, one of the very first gaming smartphones to come packing those Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 smarts. Incredibly impressive technology. And of course, you've got a shag load of dedicated gaming features packed in there, as always. Now, I've really enjoyed gaming on this thing, but it'd be great to hear what you guys reckon of the Red Magic 9 Pro. Please do type your comments down in the wee boxy thing below my head. And also, poke subscribe, ding that notifications bell, all that YouTube guff. Have yourselves a ruddy wonderful rest of the week. Cheers, everyone. Love you.